From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Monday, July 3rd. Yes, it's live and direct to you. It's a live program. A lot of people took an extra day off between the 4th of July. Not me. I'm here because I wanted to be with you. We're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to, talk this morning about animals, your pets. I think it's a good show to do the day before the 4th of July because, and I'm going to steal a little bit of her thunder here, and I'll introduce our guest in a moment, because more animals, dogs probably especially, end up taking off running and showing up in shelters or run off from people's yards on the 4th of July than any other day during the year because the poor critters are terrified by the sound of the fireworks and it scares them and they take off and then all kinds of bad things can happen. So we want to try to avoid that, and I'm sure most of you who have pets are already thinking about that, but just in case, Allison Fields, our veterinarian, is here this morning to talk about that and any other questions our viewers may have if they'd like to call and join in the conversation. But I guess that makes sense. I mean, it does. More animals will take off, and then God forbid they get hit by a car or they get lost, they can't find their owners.
They injure themselves escaping from their house.
They're so terrified that they will dig out from underneath the fence.
So I think the first rule is just bring your pets inside. Bring them inside so you can keep an eye on them. If you're not going to be home, you need to contain them in a crate or something. You know, I've seen dogs who the owners brought the dogs inside, then they left to go somewhere else, and they come home and the glass door is broken, the dog's gone, there's blood everywhere, the dog has escaped and thrown themselves through windows and doors because they're so scared. Crazy. So if your dog is scared like that and you know it, why don't we do something about it beforehand? So the first thing that we usually recommend starting with is a thunder shirt. They're great. They're a little bit on the pricey end, somewhere between $20 and $50, but they really work well. I would get the name brand thunder shirt.
Explain what they do.
So a thunder shirt is kind of like a wrap. It's like swaddling a baby. You know, babies, when your newborn babies, they're used to being confined in the womb. They get out and they're all, and they don't sleep well, so you swaddle them up. We all know this.
It's a comforting feeling.
Right, it's a comforting feeling. So the same thing goes for the dogs. It's kind of a vest that Velcros on.
Yeah, just around their midsection, not constricting their arms or paws.
Not their arms, but it's kind of around their chest and maybe the beginning of their tummy. And it just gives them kind of a feeling of security. They make weighted blankets for people, especially people on the autism spectrum. That weight kind of helps soothe. So there's been a lot of studies on these topics. So that's the first thing that we start with. Giving them a safe place. If they like to go hide under the bed, let them. You know, some dogs will get in the bathtub. I mean, they're you know, ready for the tornado. But if they have a safe place that they want to go to, let them get in there. One thing you can also do, we used to have a dog, Baxter, was terrified of thunderstorms and fireworks and stuff, and so we did a lot of things. We had a thunder shirt. We would turn up the television really loud so that there was just loud noise and it wasn't this sudden jarring booms. He was very well obedience trained, and so we would do obedience work. And he got to where he was expecting to get up and get treats during thunderstorms and fireworks and stuff. So at 2 in the morning, I'd be up doing obedience work with Baxter. But he would quit being freaked out about the storm or the fireworks and start doing his commands for treats. So those are all things you can do. If that doesn't work, there's always drugs.
Doggy downers.
Yeah. And so you just need to talk to your veterinarian about what drug might be best for your dog. And the trick with the drugs is you can't give them after it starts. You have to be proactive about it. So if you know there's a huge storm coming, you give them the meds. If you know that the fireworks are coming, you give them the meds, because once they get geared up and so anxious, it's really hard to bring them down even with drugs. So we give it beforehand.
This is interesting too. It's just all dogs have personalities, of course, that are different. Some dogs, you know, our pugs, it doesn't seem to bother them. Our beagle, absolutely, you know, and we try to do everything thunder shirt, put him away, and yeah, you hate it for him, but I mean, it's just, some animals aren't bothered, right? It's just like like humans. Some humans are bothered and some aren't. Is there any way, though, and you kind of touched on it a bit, maybe how you used to with Baxter, Is there no way to maybe try to train them to learn that noise is not going to hurt them, the distraction and everything else?
You can. The problem with that is it takes time and patience on the part of the owner, and most people these days don't want to put the time and the patience in. They just want to fix like that. And it's instant gratification. And there's not an instant gratification for this at all. You can desensitize dogs to it. You can get a CD or an MP3 of a thunderstorm, and you just start playing it in your home very, very, very softly, you know, a couple times a day, and kind of let the dogs get used to it, and you start turning it up so that in a month there's a huge thunderstorm going on in your house and everybody's just walking around like normal. But that's a month or two, and most people are like, I don't have time for that. Or they say they have time for it and they get 2 days in and they forget about it. And so,
well, really, if you're lucky, you're having maybe 2 or 3 thunderstorms, maybe a year. And then you've got 4th of July and the days around it, and New Year's Eve.
Right.
So it's not like it's every other week, so maybe people don't want to, you know, invest that time. But you could. I just didn't know if you could train them. I mean, that's interesting.
You can't. You can. It just takes time.
Are there any other things that come up during the 4th? I mean, that's the biggie. And then the animals, maybe. I guess for the ones that do, you've always preached it's important to get your dogs chipped because some of them can take off and it's hard to find their owners,
Put a collar on with your name and number. You know, have a microchipped at the 4th if you're not going to bring your dogs in. If you're going to leave them in the yard, then maybe put a second collar on with your name and number, you know, so that way people can find you.
I love how you say sometimes people pay and get the microchip and then they don't register.
Correct.
Just cracks me up.
Yeah.
You take the time and the effort to do that.
Yep.
And you register, or rather you fail to register even though the chip's in the dog.
Correct. Yeah. It's very frustrating, especially when we have somebody bring in a stray and we scan it and there's a chip, and we're so excited that we're going to be able to reunite this dog and this owner, and the chip hasn't been registered.
What? It's just got to be an oversight. They don't think. They don't realize. And then you have
to hope that your dog lands in a clinic that they really have that. Well, they care, but that they have the time to then call the chip company and see what clinic got that number chip. And then you can call that clinic and be like, I have this dog. He looks like he might be a German Shepherd. It's a boy.
Yeah.
He's got a chip that you guys put in. Can you? What if they don't have the time? What if they have 4 emergencies going on? They don't have somebody to sit at the computer and sort through every German Shepherd male dog that they have who might have had a chip put in?
Yeah.
So yeah, just register your chip. How hard is it? And most veterinarians, not most, a lot of veterinarians now are registering it for you, just because we have discovered that people don't do it. And so we just take the time and make you fill out the stuff at the clinic and then give it back to us, and we'll go fax it and make sure it's registered.
Do you ever see any animals come in on the 4th or the day after suffering injuries from fireworks, either from some, you know, horrible person injuring with them, or some of the dogs are the opposite of Beetlejuice and actually will see a sparkler or will be barking at it and try to bite at it and, gosh, you know, maybe burn their mouth.
I think I've only seen that once or twice, especially when I worked at the emergency clinic.
I just didn't know if that might, because they just, and then maybe take a bite of it and then they burn.
Yeah.
But that's good. So that doesn't happen much.
Not much.
Okay. I guess then that pretty much covers the basics for the 4th.
Just bring your animals in.
Yeah,
bring them in. Bring them inside. Start today. Let's practice.
Cats same way?
Most cats don't care. I was sitting at the house yesterday, and all 3 of our cats were sleeping in the living room, and of course Davidson County fireworks are illegal. But some people in our neighborhood were very excited about it upcoming on the 4th, and we had some fireworks going off last night. And they all 3 kind of lifted their head at the first boom and looked around, and then after that they were like, whatever, you're disturbing my sleep, and just slept deeper.
Yeah, that's
gammon. He was like, I'm just going to turn off my hearing aids.
The cats, well, now I have to move my fish tank, my goldfish. When it fireworks, it's near the window. They'll be jumping out of the tank, so I move my goldfish over to the side away, and I put a towel over them because fireworks just freak them out. Just kidding. I think she knew I was kidding when I was saying that. I mean, you were just staring at me like, no, not the goldfish. Or a bird, maybe, or a snake. I don't think any of them care. A little pet toad. How about a rat?
I don't know.
A white rat? You just
what about
know.
A gaboon viper?
A gaboon viper, the largest fangs in nature. Don't want to get bit. Would you treat one if someone brought it in?
Oh my gosh, Nick, you know the answer to this question.
No, you wouldn't.
14 years later.
You would let the viper die. If it had an abscess and needed emergency surgery.
I don't see snakes. I would let a snake doctor come to that decision.
Okay. So you do see dogs, cats.
I see dogs and cats.
Is that basically it? Would you see a sugar darter or sugar glider?
I leave those to the exotic veterinarians. I've treated a rat where I am now. One of my technicians has pet rats.
Yeah, okay.
And they got in a little fight, and we had to do surgery on one, and so it's a little wound up, and put it on some antibiotics. But there are vets out there that do cats and dogs, and then pocket pets, which are rabbits, sugar gliders, gerbils. And
hamsters,
then hamsters, and then other ones that will also do the reptiles and the birds. And
yeah. Okay. Well, listen, all those we can cover if you have questions, because she's very knowledgeable about that. We have some calls coming in, but the number is 737-7587. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your calls when we come back. If you have a question about the 4th or just something about your pet, we haven't talked yet about flea and tick control. We always like hitting that.
Wow,
and the
they're bad this year.
Yeah, they're rocking right now. They're out there, and what you can do about that, and some of the new treatments or the pills that you say really work well. We'll get into all that. Take some of your questions or comments if you'd like. It's the day before the 4th. We're here at work. Join us if you're home relaxing. Give us a call. We'll be back with more right after this with Allison Fields.